out of nowhere, I got a shout out from Tim Cook on Twitter. And I remember I started screaming. I was running around the house. I was like, what the hell just happened?
That was cool.
Were you like, I have peaked? This is the peak of my career. I'm sitting inside the lab, which is a space by JLinh and Andy, and we are going to sit down and chat with them about their content creator journey. JOCELYNN and Andy are both content creators based in the US, and they actually came from Oakland and have a pretty rough upbringing. We talk a little bit about what inspires them. We talk about how they got their following on YouTube and Instagram and the difficulties that they faced along the way. And we also asked them about what brand deals were most memorable to them and what it was like working with Apple and being shouted out by Tim Cook. So I hope you'll enjoy this conversation as much as I did and find a lot of inspiration in our podcast chat. Dream your future, create it today.
What's up, everyone? My name is JLinh, and I'm a lifestyle and travel content creator based in New York City.
I'm her plus one. My name is Andy. I'm a filmmaker based out in New York City.
Thank you for coming on and chatting with me and letting me use your beautiful space here in New York City. So I have followed both of your journeys very closely over the years, and I know you have both like very inspiring stories. So I'm very grateful to be able to sit down today and talk about it. So first of all, can you tell us like what platforms you're on and mostly creating on, focusing on right now?
Yeah, so mostly, I guess I would say it's half Instagram, half YouTube. TikTok also, but that one is kind of like, it started off as something fun for me, not something that I wanted to pursue like for money. A lot of my TikTok nowadays are just like film photography, which is like a side hobby of mine. So I would say mostly YouTube and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm YouTube first, and then Instagram, and then TikTok for fun.
I see.
Yeah.
Actually, there's quite an evolution over the years of both of your content, right?
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned that you were filming vlogs since you were in like middle school.
Yeah.
And then YouTube became a thing.
Yeah.
Is that the order of things? How did you start YouTube?
It started off just because I had like a camera in middle school. I would just bring it to school. I would take pictures. I would just kind of vlog. And like when we first started dating, which is like back in 2010, like,
wow.
I mean, YouTube was just like kind of starting. I actually don't remember when YouTube started, but we weren't on YouTube yet. And we were just vlogging our travels and just like our daily lives. And we just never thought that it would become something on YouTube. Yeah. But I started because I wanted to teach people how to do makeup. I think that's what I was passionate in middle school. I mean, in high school, I wanted to be a cosmetologist. And eventually I wanted to move to LA and become a makeup artist. So I think that's where I found my passion at first, was just like teaching people how to do makeup. And then it kind of evolved over the years. Yeah.
Were you inspired by Michelle Phan in the beginning?
Yeah. I think she paved the way for like a lot of Asian creators.
Yes,
yeah,
totally. So then from there, how did you decide to pivot out of the beauty industry?
I think because like as much as I loved makeup, I think I was like reliant on it in a way where I felt like I didn't feel beautiful unless I had a ton of makeup on, and I would like wear it every single day. And it wasn't until he brought me out of the country for the first time. We went to Thailand, and just seeing the way of life in Thailand was just humbling, because obviously that's my first time traveling out of the country, and just seeing their definition of beauty, it just kind of shifted my perspective, and it got me like thinking that I wanted to show parts of the world instead of like how you can like wear makeup to feel beautiful, because there's like so many beautiful places in the world.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of made that shift.
I'm just like,
for
hearing you say your story is like pretty inspiring, just like even though I'm with you like all the time.
Yeah.
And I just remember when you like hit your like spike on YouTube, like you hit like 100K really quick. And like all of these brands just started throwing stuff at you. And I remember we were just like, how do we creatively like express you in a way where like at the end of the video, like that you really like it, you know, because like you're always very detail oriented when it came to like all the steps in creating those videos. And I don't know, hearing you talk about it was like, dang, like we haven't
Yeah.
really talked about it in a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that was another thing, which is another reason why I like kind of shifted my niche, was because doing makeup tutorials, it was just a routine. I would like wake up, do like how to do a cut crease, how to do a smoky eye, but like people weren't really seeing my personality, and a lot of people were asking for that. Like, we don't really know you as a person. You're just teaching us. And so when we moved to New York and I kind of changed my niche to lifestyle and travel, like people were seeing that side of me, and it was just, I guess, more fun.
Yes. Yeah. That was kind of interesting to see how you transitioned, because I think in the beginning maybe there was a time where it was harder to get the engagement, to get people to see that side of you and to be used to it. There was like a shift period, and then once you got through that and gained new audiences, then it was okay from there, or?
Yeah, I think in the beginning it was hard because like I built this following just solely on beauty. And because I just like cut it cold turkey, it was just like one day I just stopped doing makeup. A lot of my audience was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, who is she? Like, all of a sudden she's like vlogging and traveling. And it's like, we never knew you. So it's like, why would we keep following you now? So I lost a lot of my following because of that. But like the people who stayed, like they stayed and they were supportive. And that's something that I'm grateful for. Like, I feel like because my niche is like forever changing, like I'm always picking up new hobbies, it's easy to like gain a new audience and then lose that when I pick up something else. So I think that's just hard. That's the hard part.
Yeah, but you just have to push through.
Yeah.
And for Andy, for you were always doing more like lifestyle film, or like, I know you have a background in wedding photography, filmography. How did that evolve into your YouTube or Instagram first?
It started in like high school when I was making videos, because I was in a media academy. So our like weekly assignments like in drama class was to make videos. And out of all the classes I took, like that was probably like the most exciting one, because we got to, I don't know, take ownership of a story. And for like kids growing up in Oakland, like I didn't really grow up having much. So being able to create a video with my friends, and then at the very end adding the credits, and giving us, and our teacher, Mr. Jackson, like giving us sense of like ownership, that like meant everything. And that's something that that stays true to me like to this day. It's like rounding up some of my friends, or sometimes just me and her going out and creating a video and telling a story. And it's probably like one of the coolest and most fulfilling things I'll probably ever get to do. And I'm super grateful I get to do this like for work, and to tell stories for like other people when we're traveling, and to tell stories for companies, which is something that I'm super passionate about. It led into like, we need to figure out like how to make money to sustain this kind of like lifestyle, because we wanted to travel but didn't have money. So her brother and I started a wedding video production company, and that eventually led into having enough money to travel, and then creating lifestyle videos on our travels, which led to companies and brands, I guess, looking at our channels like, oh, like you guys are making this. Well, they didn't know we're just doing it for fun, for free. Like, and then they started like throwing budgets at us, and we're like, oh, like you're gonna give us money to do this? And then we're like, I think we're onto something. Which is cool, because it's always been like a dream of mine to be able to travel the world, and like to be able to do it now and to tell stories. It's kind of like, how the heck did it actually happen?
I think that's something really unique about your content from the beginning. Even though nowadays everyone is talking about telling a storytelling in your videos, it's quite common now. But like 5-6 years ago, most people were just doing like epic transitions, like the whoosh transition and everything. And all the travel videos, it was like a stereotypical type of music and look to it. But I think, Andy, you're probably one of the rare creators who was like properly telling a story. So that kind of background comes from your school years, from being in school for media?
Yeah, it definitely comes from my roots. I think I've always considered myself kind of like the director of shadows, because I come from a background that's not usually shown in light. Like, long story short is I find like peace and happiness when I'm able to tell the stories of others, especially the people, the underprivileged, the people who probably wouldn't be able to afford to travel, wouldn't be able to afford to see the world. I feel like for me, having came from that background, I feel like it's kind of like my responsibility to speak for those people. And these opportunities that we get to be able to share those experiences with people and to let people know that like it wasn't always like this, and to hopefully inspire the younger generations that are coming up. I always think about the kids like that sit in the nosebleeds at like basketball games, because once upon a time that was me. I don't think I intentionally chose to make this like my style of filmmaking and storytelling. It's just how I was raised and the way I grew up. And when I speak on it, like when I speak for the kids now, it's like I do it because I'm speaking to my younger self.
Yeah. Because you lack that role model or that person to learn from, so that you could take yourself out of that difficult situation that you grew up in. Yeah. That's really amazing.
Is this too deep?
No, what you said, just like speaking to your younger self.
Yeah.
Because that's what you lacked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that makes so much sense. I've never thought of it that way, but that really ties in together how you're able to tell these stories. And I've watched all parts of your Oakland videos, and it was amazing. Is that the Mr. Jackson that was in the videos doing the voiceover?
Yeah. In My Life Oakland 1.
Yeah.
Mr. Jackson is my high school drama teacher.
Yeah. Oh.
So he's the one who pretty much gave us the curriculum. Go out and make a video. Try to make my high school, Fremont High, which looks like a jail cell from the outside back then.
Yeah.
Let's try to make this place look beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's try to tell stories within this almost like, I don't want to put a bad name onto it, because at the time when I was doing it, it was beautiful. Like it was like we get to leave class and create videos. We have creative freedom to do whatever we want. Like, and nowadays I feel like when you work with like a client and they give you these creative limitations, it's kind of like restricting your inner child. It's kind of like when they tell you that they didn't like something or something shouldn't have went this way. It's like, this is my creative freedom you're talking about. And I know sometimes it's like very technical, but I'm just talking about all pure like creativity. So being able to channel that at a young age in poverty, I got so lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky to have been able to tap into that without knowing. So I took that opportunity and I took those life experiences and I tried to turn it into something positive.
Yes, and you absolutely did. What I think is really cool about you both is that the fact that you're doing this for a living now and living in New York City never gets lost on you guys. And I see a lot of people, they're always like, yeah, I'm super grateful, blah, 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 including myself. Like, I'm always like, yeah, I'm grateful. But then I'm still complaining about a lot of things. Like, I sometimes forget, like, I take it for granted. Yeah. And I forget that, wow, I'm super lucky to be able to be doing this. But I feel like that's never lost on you guys. And I think that's a beautiful quality given where you're coming from. Yeah.
Thank you.
How long did it take to build the Instagram following and the YouTube following? Was it like happening together, or was there a particular focus at a certain point that helped to catapult your growth? I know you grew first with YouTube with like beauty influencing. Yeah. How about you, Andy?
It started with, I was actually on Instagram first. Yeah. I was doing a lot of landscape lifestyle photography. So I pretty much built my whole portfolio filming and shooting the Bay Area. That was like my stomping grounds. Like going to the Golden Gate Bridge, shooting it from like 50 different angles. Low fog, sunrise, sunset, all these different locations, meeting up with other people to show them the places I've shot. Like just like using the Bay Area as like as my portfolio. And just showing the nicest parts, not only showing the nicest parts, but showing that it's accessible. I wasn't ever like a gatekeeper of locations. I would always try to advocate for people to get out and explore, tapping back into my roots. Like I feel like something that's super productive and healthy for you especially if you're like introverts. Like both of us are like, we're natural introverts. One of the healthiest things to do is to go out and explore, go for a walk.
So that evolved into YouTube later on, because you were already very established on Instagram when you decided to focus on YouTube. I thought it was an interesting shift, although like kind of surprising because you were already so good at film. What made you decided to make that shift?
When I was doing Instagram, I was always making videos. Even though I was taking photos, I would always create videos of just any new camera I got, any new location I've been to. I've always just been very fascinated by technology and trying to maximize technology, like trying to work it to its limits. Like once Instagram dropped that video feature, I was dropping videos. I didn't really take YouTube super serious. JLinh helped me channel like my YouTube voice, or like just the way that my presence, because I always, and I still do today, like I look to her for advice on like, how do I present myself to the camera? We always have debates amongst ourselves where we're challenging each other to see what our thoughts and ideas, like how it looks privately and how it looks publicly, how much our influence actually has an effect on the outside world. She definitely helped me find my voice, and now that I've found it, I'm still fine-tuning it. Just to trace back to your question of like, when did that YouTube journey sort of kick off? I don't know. I've always been making YouTube videos since high school. Like I would drop it on YouTube too, just like for fun. I didn't really promote it like that. So I've always been a video creator, filmmaker since like high school. But YouTube as a like career was probably in like 17. So I got hired by Beautiful Destinations for their World's Coolest Job campaign, and I worked with them for a year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
That's the reason we moved to New York, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's that?
Yeah.
So we moved into this little 300 square
It was
foot,
like 500 square feet.
500 square foot studio.
Yeah.
We were living in New York City, just trying to figure it out. And my job was to travel and work with tourism boards and airlines and luxury hotels, which I was very foreign to.
Yeah. But you were doing it as a filmmaker, not like as a personal brand, like a creator at that time?
Oh, yeah, I was doing it as a filmmaker. So I was a part of their like originals team.
Yeah, yeah.
And like creating films on like destinations and a bunch of like luxury brands, which was interesting because I don't come from that background. So it was very eye-opening to see that there were people that traveled like this. I'm super grateful for the opportunity, like working with them for a year.
Yeah.
And we wasn't spending a lot of time with each other. And there was a part of me that was like, we came out here together. I feel comfortable enough to leave Beautiful Destination so that we could focus on us. And then from that point, it started going crazy.
That was some of the best years. I think that's the year that we met, 2018 and 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those
So
were, like,
that's
the
when
best
you
times.
went all in
Yeah.
in your brand, personal brand.
In our personal brand, yeah.
Oh. I thought that was a very interesting shift from where you're originally just a filmmaker to then having to like step out of your shell and be in front of the camera and like talk to the camera and be like a more of a personality beyond just like a filmmaker. That was probably pretty challenging for you
Yeah.
like as an introvert, right?
Yeah, even talking to the camera now, I still find myself having introverted tendencies. But it's just literally me talking to the camera. Like that shouldn't have a problem like talking to there's literally nobody there. I think once I figured out that the videos that I was creating was actually having an impact on people's lives, it inspired me to just get over it. Like my message was powerful enough for me to get over my lack of confidence and I don't know, it's tough. Like doing the YouTube stuff is really difficult. It's definitely like
people are mean.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, people, yeah.
That's crazy because I mean, on the surface, and this is a compliment, obviously not a bad thing, but just you guys both seem very confident, like you know exactly what you're doing. Yeah, I think especially Andy, because I think you do share some of a bit of the anxiety parts, and you're pretty open on your Instagram. But from the surface, it just looks like when you said lack of confidence, I was kind of surprised. Like you seem very confident, especially as a filmmaker, because like the work speaks for itself. So it's just very interesting to see like people who look super accomplished still go through moments of like doubt and I guess fear and lack of confidence.
I think we're very harsh critics on ourselves.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of self-hate that flies around the room.
That's true. Because we always think that we can do better. We're always trying to find ways of like how we can improve.
Yeah.
And just like, I think social media in general, it just like has an effect on you. If you consume too much, obviously you start to compare yourself, and like it gets the best of you. But I think we try to keep each other grounded, but sometimes it's just hard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
What are some of the things that are hard about it? Like, why is it so challenging to, I guess, show up?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think for me as a filmmaker, like it's really hard for me to put out a video on YouTube when I know I didn't give it my best.
Oh yeah.
So I would literally work on one YouTube video for like a whole month just because I'm trying to figure out ways to top my last video, which gets very toxic.
Yeah.
Especially in today's day and age, where as a creator to make a living in this world, like you're kind of pressured to create quantity.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
For the
you always have to show up.
Yeah, you always have to show up.
Yeah.
And like for me, I found success in being myself. I'm very fortunate to say that, and to filter out that noise, to not feel the pressure of showing up. But my challenge for myself is that I just get in my own way.
Yes.
A lot of self-sabotage.
That's true.
Like I mentioned, like a lot of self-hate flying around because I know I'm capable of creating something of quality. So when I don't hit that quality marker, I just try to find other ways to top it. And it gets very toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that if you are the people who consider themselves more of an artist and treat their work like art are usually the people who struggle the most with consistency and showing up, and also self-doubt and all of those negative talk. I just wanted to say actually that I think you're both amazing. Like your works are like beyond, like totally different styles, but all very unique. And so if it's, I don't know, any comfort, like we all think you're amazing. So even if it's, let's say, like 80% of your best work, we would still gawk at it and be like, wow, did you see the video? Like we literally send to each other in our groups, like, did you see the video that JLinh and Andy posted? Like, it's so good. And oh my God, like mind blown, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's more like a game of long-term consistency. That's like true. You don't have to top yourself. Like that's literally impossible. As an artist, you go up and then you kind of go down and then you get more inspired and then you come back up. And it's like a never-ending like squiggly line. And not really like a straight line up. So that's I just kind of wanted to offer that perspective.
Thank you. We say the same thing about your content all the time. I'm always showing, like, I watch stories all the time. I consume a lot of social media, whereas he doesn't at all. He just posts and he just,
and then you ghost.
And he ghosts. But then like I'm always watching people's stories and I'm like, oh my gosh, look what they're up to. And like, I mean, we love your work. And you're always growing, you're always doing something new, which is nice.
I like your birthday reel.
Oh, thank you.
I saw that one. I was like, that was pretty cool.
My first few forays into trying to do like fun twists and videos.
It is fun.
The storytelling in it was like really, the concept was really cool.
That's something I'm really trying to step into, and I'm looking at your content to sort of get inspired in that aspect. But like, how do I bring more story into my usually very superficial looking images and videos? And it's been a very fun process. But what I realized is that storytelling is significantly harder than you think.
So hard.
If you're missing even one little part of the connection, the context, then it's like not good.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is scrapped.
Yeah.
So I understand the pressure.
Yeah.
But one thing that I do to get over that hump is just, I think of it more like a business. And so I just think that if I had a job, I can't not show up today.
Yeah.
So I have to show
true.
up to the job. And even though they won't like it as much, like I still have to show up. So that's how I get over the fear of showing up sometimes.
That's a good point. And I always say that to him too. I think it's just hard because for me, like I struggle a lot with anxiety. Like I think over the years, I've just started developing more and more anxiety. I think it's because social media. And I think it's hard for me because like in a way, it's hard to always have purpose. Like I always tell him like my videos, like I love making cinematic videos. I love making like aesthetic videos, but it's like, what's the point?
Right.
And like, who cares?
Yes.
And it's like, if I don't care, why do other people care? And I think that's where I struggle. But then like, he keeps me grounded in a sense where he's like, you have to focus on your storytelling. And like that part for a long time didn't click for me because I wasn't taught that, you know, and I didn't grow up learning how to like tell stories like he did. Like even in the beginning of our relationship, before we go to bed, he'd be like, can you tell me a story about your childhood? And I'm like,
how do I do
how?
that?
Like, I don't even know where to begin. And like, that was not one of my strengths. And I think I had to learn that. But also just like trying to find things that I really enjoy and not worry so much about what other people think. Because I've always been like a people pleaser all my life. So it's just like finding like, if I'm not going to post something that everyone likes, then I'm just not going to post. But then that like has a negative effect too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because ultimately there will be the other like 60% of people who are watching who still really appreciate it and they want to see that side of you too.
Yeah.
So we can't please all
That's
people.
true. Yeah.
Even though most creators tend to be people pleasers.
Yeah.
Because that's how we show up.
Yeah.
And that's how we get the engagement and all of that.
I think I could add to what you're talking about briefly. When I create like my films for YouTube, I am mindful of the people who are watching, but they don't influence what I create. I truly believe that if you create something that you love, whether it be like a reel or a story or a full-on YouTube video, if you put all that energy and love into it, at the end of the day, if you could like go to sleep knowing that you love that thing so much to the point where like if anybody had anything to say about it, it doesn't take away from the fact that you love that thing so much. So that's my usual direction when it comes into like making like videos for YouTube. It's like, I love this video so much. And at the end, you can have a negative thing to say about it, but like, I just truly loved what I did and what I created. So
that's passion, homie.
Yeah.
it's passion. Just very passionate about like what I create.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned something that was actually an interesting exercise. I think if you want to become a better storyteller, maybe just think of like, what's a good childhood story? And then try to narrate it in a way that is concise, but interesting for a stranger that's listening.
Yeah.
And then just practice that over and over with various interesting events that happened in your life, something that was terrible that happened in your life, something that made you really happy. And then you can just practice that. You will become a better storyteller. This is a quick break from the conversation to tell you about a resource I know you'll find really helpful. If you're an aspiring creator with a few thousand followers and you want to land paid brand deals, then you need to check out my free training where I cover how to land paid brand deals in 4 clear steps. This is very in-depth with content strategies, growth strategies, as well as where to find these brand deals. You can sign up at successfulinfluencer.com/training and I'll link it in the description below as well. All right, back to the conversation. How did you actually first start to get these campaigns? Did they reach out to you guys naturally? And then from there, you learned how to negotiate and then get a manager, etc.?
I think I don't really tell this story, but I think it's pretty interesting. But when I was in college, we entered this film festival called Campus Movie Fest, and we won from our school. And since we won from our school, we could go compete in LA against all these other top schools. I just went to a state college, so we don't even have a film program. Wow. So I rallied up my friends, and JLinh was in the crew too. And we figured out that we needed to get to LA, but we were broke college students. So like, oh shoot, like who could we reach out like for money? So we went to every like organization on campus to see if they'll sponsor our trip to LA. And even though I'm not talking about like tens of thousands of dollars, like I'm just bringing this to like the very core of sponsorship. You have a want or desire, and our want and desire was to get to LA. We didn't care how we got there, whether we flew or drove, or it didn't matter. But our desire was to go and compete against these other schools. What we did was reached out for sponsors on campus, and we managed to probably scrape up like $2,000. And then that paid for all of our food expenses, that paid for our hotel, and that paid for our gas and a little extra. But I think thinking about it in today's day and age, that transition is pretty much the same. But to answer your question, these companies start reaching out, or did we do the outreach? I think a lot of these companies naturally started hitting us up, and the budgets that they were throwing at us were like so crazy, to where we were like, is this how much like people are getting paid to do these types of things?
Yeah. But it first started off with free stuff.
Oh,
obviously.
Yeah, free stuff. Yeah.
But once they had budget, it was a pretty sizable budget.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning. Like when I was doing makeup stuff, like I would just get free makeup, and I'm like, oh my God, free makeup.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I think one of my first like sponsored, I don't even know what it was, post or something, Instagram post maybe, was probably like $50.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my God, $50 for one post? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I was just grateful, because like I didn't think you could get paid for stuff like that. And at the time, it's like I was working for the city of Oakland. Yeah. Making minimum wage, like I was just grateful for anything. I didn't think it would turn into a career. It wasn't like something that I like was going towards. I just did it because I like loved it, and it just turned into that.
Yeah.
I think what's really valuable in what you said is the building the relationship. Example is I reached out to SanDisk, and I was like, hey, like if you give me some memory cards, I'll like I'll create some content around it. And they're like, yeah, of course, give you free memory cards. And the memory cards is money that I would have spent on production anyways.
Yeah.
And then what that relationship led into was, hey, let me just throw a number out there. So I was like, you have like 5K? And they were like, yeah, we could work in 5K. And I was like, what? Like, I remember like going to my friends like, yo, they're going to give us 5K to go on this trip. And then they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, we just go out on this trip and we just make content around some SanDisk memory cards. And they're like, all right, let's do it. And then it paid for the whole trip, and then you get paid on top of it. And I think the relationship is like, if you do something out of like passion, I truly believe that you will be rewarded like 10 times. But if you go, I can't speak for someone who goes in the direction of money first, because I don't operate that way. But for those of you guys who are watching and listening, if you really love like coffee, or you really love sort of like niche that you're into, any hobby or lifestyle choice that you've went with, if you really love that thing, then people on the outside are going to understand that you're really passionate about it. And then they're going to find ways to help you age and feel your passion.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but it works.
Yeah. I wanted to say there's a few creators who are very money focused, and there are creators like you guys who are more like artists and very driven by the creative. And surprisingly, I would say I think both work actually in this current day and age, because we live in a creator economy where people need a space to advertise, right? And they need content, whether that's organic or paid. And so we always say, like, don't do this if you're just in it for the money. But I have seen people who are very money focused do extremely well in their particular niche as well. And I think as long as they can still stay consistent and be authentic along the way, that's still super profitable. And I think both ways work.
Yeah,
like the
definitely.
very like creative focus is honestly, I think probably the best way to do it, because you're very true to yourself. Yeah. But then the money focused way is also like a very business focused way to go about it.
That's true, yeah.
It certainly works too. And I know people who shape their content around whether it can make money or not.
Yeah.
And that's another way to approach your content creation also.
Yeah.
Like if that's what you're looking to do, like maximize profit.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, like I wasn't trying to knock
Oh no, not at all.
like people who are doing it that way. I couldn't speak for them because I don't operate that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do see the business side of creation, and when you could tie those two things together, it's like it's a really cool thing.
Yeah. I guess what I meant to say was that there's one way about it, which is like creative first, vision first, and then the money follows, which clearly happened to you guys and to a lot of creators, some of the most successful ones. But then also there's the other clan of like business first, and then creative second, and they still go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke to Karen on my podcast, Karen X Chang. So she's like ultra creative, and she gets really, really great brand deals from huge brands. And she said one thing that really stood out to me, and she was like, I don't create content for the 1 million people who follow me. I create content for the 0.1% of marketers that look at my stuff. And they always end up reaching out to her. And so she has come to peace with no matter how her stuff fluctuates, it doesn't affect her because she knows she's creating content for the people who have the budget and gatekeep the budget. And I was like, wow, that's super cool.
That is cool.
Super different perspective.
Yeah.
Really
Channel that.
interesting.
I mean, we kind of talk about that too. It's like each YouTube video that we put out, we say that we're planting seeds because it's like you never know who's watching your stuff.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you think about it in the sense of like, I would like to work with X brand.
Yeah.
So I start putting a bit of their product or mentioning some of their stuff in there.
Yeah.
There are some people who say like, oh, but then I'm doing free advertisement for them. Like, do you think that's valid?
I mean, it is free advertising, but I think to Andy's point, like if you're passionate about something, to me, it doesn't really matter because like, for example, I got into coffee.
Yeah.
And like, I love La Marzocco. Like I've always wanted a Linea Mini and then I just got it. Right. And then I started making a ton of videos on it. And then they reached out and wanted to work with me. So like everything paid itself back, but it's like, I gave them so much free advertisement that like, I didn't mind because it's like I loved it anyways, you know?
Yeah.
They sent someone from La Marzocco over here too.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
like a cool experience, yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to work with them.
Yeah.
And that was like the trade-off, but it was really cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Because I think in this day and age, everybody knows that you can you can make a lot of money as a creator.
Yeah.
And so then they focus on profit first, or they focus on never tagging brands and never sharing stuff. But ultimately, I feel like that does kind of limit you because if you're using it, if it's a native experience like natural, you liked it, then there's no reason not to share. That's why we started this, to share stuff for
I
free.
agree. Yeah.
And then we forget that. Well, some people forget that, you know, it's actually part of our job to share organically.
That's kind of your beginner story of working with Apple.
Yes,
It was
I would
all a
love to hear
passion
about
project.
that.
Oh yeah.
How did you start working with Apple?
I've been using Apple products since forever. When I was at my travel filmmaking stage, I would always have like a really heavy production backpack with me. Maybe like something between like 20, 35 pounds on my back. It was just like gimbal, camera, like 4 or 5 lenses, a tripod, laptop, all the extra things that come with it. And I was like, I need to take a break. So I pretty much told myself I'm gonna bring my phone and a gimbal and I'm gonna make a video just with those two things. I used the same principles of filmmaking and edited really nice and told the story of Toronto, I think. That was like my first iPhone film, like iPhone 10. Or something like that. I could travel to like really sketchy places and nobody would look at me for like attention. Like I'm just a tourist at that point. And I like being able to just blend in with society and be incognito and channel my introverted tendencies and just not be in anybody's way. And it got to the point where I created a series. And then I got recognized for my Toronto video. And then they sent me the iPhone XR. It was like, what can you do with this? And I was like, oh, okay, let me just try to do something. So I did
So they were already viral before they sent you the phone?
Yeah. And this is on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think because that was like not really a thing. Everyone was like, 1DX,
Cinematic.
Mark II, cinematic.
Yeah.
Blue and, teal and orange
But
preset.
you made it look cinematic with the phone.
Yeah. And it really spoke to my roots as well. Like being able to create on a budget and not having I've always believed that I could create with anything you put in my hands. I could shoot on a phone, I could shoot on a cinema camera. Every major camera brand, if you give it to me, I'll make something crazy with it. That's me not humbly speaking, but I could tell a story with any camera. I took that and just reapplied that way of thinking into a phone. After they reached out, I posted my iPhone XR video, and it was themed around Chinese New Year. So it was me and JLinh dressing in she was in like the traditional like aoyai, and the opening shot was like on our roof in New York City, and I themed the whole video around Chinese New Year in New York City. And then out of nowhere, I got a shout out from Tim Cook on Twitter, and I remember I started screaming. I was running around the house like, I think I was like in my boxers, just like, I was like, what? I was like, what the hell just happened?
That was cool. Yeah, because that was like, it was never your goal.
Yeah.
You just did it because he loved it.
Yeah. It was fun.
You just built that partnership.
Were you like, I have peaked? This is like the peak of my career.
I didn't know that was even, I didn't even know you could peak. Like, I didn't even know, I didn't even know that was it was never a goal of mine to get recognized by Apple.
Yeah.
It was never a goal of ours to move to New York City.
Yeah.
It kind of just happened, which is cool. And from that point on, every single product team reached out to me, from MacBook to iMac to Mac Studio to iPhone, iPad, watch.
Technical question. Were they all different people reaching out to you?
Yeah.
And were they all coordinated, or they didn't know?
Different times.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it was after that they wanted to see what I could do with other products. And the one that I'm probably the most proud of is probably My Life Oakland, which a lot of people probably don't know was a product integration. The iMac was the product in the video, which was the hero of pretty much my journey. Long story short, when I was in Media Academy, one day our classroom got broken into and they stole all the iMacs. And there was one left tucked away in the recording studio that had a lock on it that they didn't steal. So that one iMac was the one that pretty much that transcended my life. After they stole all the iMacs, everyone in my academy was not inspired to create. There's no opportunity. There's no computers. You literally can't edit a video. And I was very persistent about being in that space to where after school, after baseball practice, I would be there. During the off season when I wasn't playing baseball, I was making videos for the basketball team. I was traveling with the football team, making videos for them. I was making videos pretty much at every opportunity I could, just so I could practice making videos. It was really fun, and it still is. The passion for creating was rooted from very far back, and I still cherish it to this day. And
isn't that so surreal that the iMac that helped you build your career is now the company that comes back to sponsor you on your content? It's crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's cool though, what Apple has been able to do, giving you the opportunity to give back to other people also. I think that's probably the biggest reward, right?
Yeah, I've had some crazy experiences working with Apple. I got the opportunity to give someone $10K worth of Apple products.
Wow.
To pretty much revamp their whole creative space. Got to travel around the world with them, creating films on different products. And I think the cherry on top is them licensing my work, which is the unreleased news. So it's something I'm going to announce probably within the next month or two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so...
Wait, they license your work?
Yeah.
Old work, or you had to create new work?
Recent love from Chinese New Year this year.
Oh.
So I made a iPhone Chinese New Year film.
Wow.
They licensed the first minute, and the first minute is going to be an update on Final Cut. It's going to be demo content for Final Cut. So pretty much when the next software update, the whole world is going to have my video.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Wow. So I'm actually really curious about like licensing deals because very few creators actually end up licensing something this big. So is that basically like maybe they approach you and they're like, we want you to create a piece of content around this, and we want to license the rights to for X number of years on all these different channels, and it's a huge budget, right?
Yeah. It's just this situation was different because I already produced the film.
Right.
And they seen it and they was like, hey, like we're thinking of using this for a Final Cut software update. And I was like, what? I was like, has anyone ever been featured on Final Cut? They're like, no, you'll be the first. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't actually understand how big they were talking. So I had to like get my manager involved to like figure out the logistics and all the legal terms and everything. Because at the end of the day, like I just kind of strictly creative. I let other people like negotiate for me because they're a lot better at that than I am.
Yeah. Can we talk about that? How do you guys know like what to charge people, or do you just let your manager decide that?
Well, my sister helps. She helps on some of our projects. We had a manager with an agency, and then we got dropped. Well, they weren't really doing as much, you know, versus the inbound that we were getting.
Yes.
So we're like no longer with them anymore. And then like my sister and my brother, they help manage some of our campaigns. But as far as negotiation, I don't know. I think Andy's really good at that. If I need help, I go to him.
Really?
Yeah. And then he'll take it to the manager and say like, maybe you can do this, or they'll sort it out. But he's really good at it. I struggle with that because I never know what to price things, especially with licensing and all that stuff. But yeah, you're really good at the business side.
And I know, Andy, you have been doing Twitch streaming a while ago. Is that still a thing?
No.
What was that? What was that about?
That was during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it, like I just trying to find something to do. So
yeah. So that was for fun?
It was for fun, and then I had a sponsor pay for my whole like Twitch streaming setup to make a video on how I made a Twitch live stream. Which I wasn't trying to do that either. I wasn't trying to get paid for that. I was just at home trying to channel my creativity.
The pandemic was hard.
Yeah, the pandemic really slowed down for a lot of people, and you guys were mostly focused on travel too, right?
Oh yeah.
So it really did it come to like a screeching halt, or were you still able to find some tech jobs?
I did
tech jobs for sure, but travel is like we went from traveling 2018 and 19 just nonstop, like we were never home, and then pandemic, like we were traveling every single like month up until like the very last month, which is March of 2020, and it just went but and then we had to shift our content, which was okay. Like we spent a lot more time in New York, which we didn't get to do anyways, and then focusing more on lifestyle for me and then tech for him.
Yeah, it became
which is nice.
Yeah, I started doing a lot more tech videos.
Yeah,
which I'm glad I got to experience it like that because it just gave me like a different like I don't know, it's like another thing to add to like the creative toolbox.
Right.
It's just like, oh, I could make a tech video.
It diversifies your content. Yeah. I actually found that to be very interesting because during the pandemic, there were some travel influencers who just dropped off altogether. A few of them, not most of them. But then a lot of people started pivoting out of just travel content, myself included. And that really changed the trajectory of my entire career and even life.
Right.
Not saying that travel isn't lucrative, but just that when you can venture into other fields and evolve with everything that's happening in the world, then you'll find many, many other opportunities that you never thought of before because you're too busy and caught up in doing things, just doing.
I agree.
Where were you during the
pandemic?
Yeah.
I was in New York, but then we went to So my husband has this famous, like, we have an inside joke. He was like, when it gets to 100 cases, we're out of here.
Oh.
And it got to thousands of tens of thousands before we were ever able to like leave.
Yeah.
And so he booked a car every single weekend so that we can make our getaway whenever we needed to.
That is so fun.
And we moved to North Carolina for 3 months to live with his parents.
Oh, dang.
And they're like angel people,
Oh my
like just the best in-laws.
Unlimited pho on deck.
Yes, unlimited pho and Vietnamese coffee every day.
Wow.
Yeah, made for you.
Wow.
It was honestly like living the life for 3 months. Yes. So, are there any future plans for you guys? Is there a 5-year vision for your personal brands?
That's a good question. Oh, coming from someone who doesn't like to plan ahead, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Like, I honestly do not know. And I think that's okay. Like, I think it's okay to take it day by day because I don't like things are always changing. Like with Reels just coming up out of nowhere, with YouTube Shorts coming up out of nowhere, it's just like, I have to be prepared for what is coming next. You know? So I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. Hopefully we'll still be in New York.
I think we'll still be in New York.
Yeah, we'll probably still be in New York.
Yeah.
For me, I really want to like take this YouTube thing like really serious. And the reason why I want to grow it is because I know I can have more of an impact, but I do want to get it to like 1 million subscribers. And with the goal of directing and producing a feature film about my life, Oakland. And I know the further I go on this YouTube journey, the closer I'm going to get to that goal. So all these videos that I'm creating, it's all leading up into that point. I'm not fixated so much on the number, but it gives me a clear goal and a defined goal. I never share that with nobody. For some reason, I write it down. Yeah, that was actually like, I feel
Do you
like
feel weight lifted on your shoulders?
I feel like, I don't want to say uncomfortable because I don't feel uncomfortable, but I just like, I usually like keep those kind of things to myself. I don't know why.
I think because there's like a sense of accountability now that it's out there, right? Maybe.
I think
maybe
so.
It's like you want to succeed in private, so that no one knows what you're trying to do. I don't know.
Because if you look at any of my YouTube videos, I've never said my goal on this platform is to get to this point. The space that we're in right now, I feel like it's safe for me to say it.
Yeah. I think it's good. You're putting it into the universe.
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
You'll get there for sure.
Yeah.
I have no doubt. Okay, so to wrap it up, where can people find you guys?
Oh, my Instagram and YouTube is JLinh, JLINHH.
2 H's. Mine is just Andy To on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, ANDYTO.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.